Hello everyone, I hope that you are all doing great. This is the linguistics lecture for the third year students at the Department of English Faculty of Education at University of Kufa. This lecture is a continuation of the previous lecture in which we talked about the differences between the grammatical and biological genders. And also we talked about how English language forms are different from the Latin in reference to the verb to love. In today's lecture, I will be highlighting the main differences between the prescriptive and descriptive approaches. The main difference between the two approaches is that the prescriptive approach sets out rules on how a language should be or ought to be used by the speakers, i.e., it is concerned with establishing rules for the proper use of English. One of these rules is you must not split an infinitive, which means that no word should be inserted between to and the base of the form. Example, to go. Here, according to the prescriptive approach, no word should be inserted between to and go. This is according to the prescriptive approach, which is based on the Latin language. On the other hand, the descriptive approach includes a set of rules about language based on how it is actually used, not on how it should be used. It is basically describing regular structures of the language as it was used by speakers, not according to some views on how it should be used. In this slide, I will show you some examples that show what would be correct, what be considered as correct sentences and incorrect sentences according to the traditional grammar or the prescriptive approach, and thus how it should be corrected. Example, Mary runs faster than Mary runs faster than me. This would be considered as incorrect according to the prescriptive approach and would be corrected as Mary runs faster than I. Another example, me and my family is also considered as incorrect and would be corrected to my family and I. Also, another rule, it is not proper to start a sentence with and. What is considered to be proper use of language is connected to linguistic etiquette and the social expectations for individuals. Therefore, people can be described as poorly educated if such rules are not followed. Here we have very important notes on the descriptive approach that needs to be taken into consideration. Grammatical description of Latin is very useful with some languages, especially the European like Italian and Spanish. It is less useful for many other languages as the English language. And it is misleading or not useful when trying to describe some non-European languages. So we have three important points. One of them is very useful, okay, when we are describing other languages, European languages like Italian and Spanish, and the second one is less useful, and the third one is considered as misleading and not useful, especially for the non-European languages. Um, we've already explained this rule, and also we will highlight it again. The rule says you must not split an infinitive. In Latin, it is appropriate to say that you cannot split an infinitive because in Latin infinitives are single words, as in re, which means to go, and audacta, which means boldly. In English, the infinitive rule means to plus the base form of the verb, as in this example, to go. So sometimes there are many examples of split infinitive in English. One of these examples is to boldly go. Here we can see that the adverb boldly is inserted between to and go. According to the prescriptive approach, it is considered or would be considered as incorrect. But according to the descriptive approach, it is considered as correct. Since English people produces such forms, then we may simply note that there are structures in English that differ from those found in Latin, which does not mean that these English forms are bad because they are breaking a rule of Latin grammar. So here we cannot generalize that what is different, the structures that are different from the Latin are bad or considered as incorrect. Before we finish, I need you to think about the following questions. What is the difference between the descriptive and prescriptive approaches? Provide some examples on the differences between the descriptive and prescriptive approaches. Thank you very much. Good luck.